Okay, this is an interesting one here as I look at it. Are there specific herbs that you recommend that we don't use together for whatever reason? So in Western herbalism, not really. There's not really, I mean, there's some common sense stuff like you might not want to put something like a soporific herb, like an herb that'll make you want to go to sleep, along with, in an energy formula that you're trying to do for somebody who's really, trying to have more energy, for instance, that's a pretty, silly example. But, I mean, there's just the purpose of the herb. But herbs cross purposes a lot. And in Western herbalism, really the only kind of rule, quote unquote, that's been out there for a while has been not to mix alkaloids with tannins. But even that is not really, I don't know how real or accurate that is. In other words, that if you were making a formula, and the reason for this is the fact that tannins and alkaloids can bind together and then basically reduce the efficacy of both the tannin and the alkaloid in your body because they're bound and they just, become digested that way and exit. So then example would be like oak bark with, say, berberis species like algarita or whatever, common barberry or whatever, because you've got the berberine or golden seal. Berberine mix binding with the tannins from, say, oak. And so that's kind of like one thing that's been passed down for quite a while. But again, I don't know how much I really even know that that's applicable or true. I don't know. That's just one of those things that I don't think there's a lot of research out there. I talked to, I think, with Lisa Ganor about this for a while, and I think she kind of agrees with me on that there's not really any research that shows that that's absolutely what's going to happen. But if you go to TCM, it's a whole different world. There are definitely herbs that you're not supposed to, that are supposed to, they can antagonize. There's all these different concepts and terms that can happen. So an example would be like, again, a berberine containing herb like coptis, like Chinese coptis, right? That's kind of like this is maybe the golden seal or maybe better the algarita root of TCM to some extent, right? With berberine as well. Well, you're not supposed to. That'll antagonize like chrysanthemum. That'll antagonize like scrophularia. That'll antagonize I call it oxine. It's Atrahasis and I use that a lot. So, they're supposed to be herbs that will antagonize, that will contradict and each other and so forth too. Not supposed to be, there are. But that's because the herbal materia medica and sort of the compendium of how herbs work is a very specific set of detailed sort of both energetic and physical mappings to these herbs. Excuse me. So if you have, kind of an interesting thing with TCM is, if there's a question about an herb or a formula, there's a right answer and there's a wrong answer. And you don't really find that with Western herbalism much. And there's a lot of reasons for that I won't, I mean, I could talk for an hour on that topic. And some of it has to do, I think, with our lack of standardized, some sort of standardized education around medicine in the herbal community. But some of it has to do with just the fact too that we don't know when you're looking at it from a Western perspective, because we're approaching it from this kind of pharmaceutical idea that we're born into since about the 1910s. We're born into this concept of, one pharmaceutical or one symptom, one pharmaceutical, and this whole mapping of medicine is completely different than a mapping that you're going to get in TCM.